Hi guys, Materim here with another battle report, and this one is special. We wanted to actually represent Chaos attacking the Empire, so what we've set up here is our Empire player has 3,500 points of the Imperial's army's best, facing two armies of 1,750 points each. One from the Demons of Chaos, which I'm playing, and the other one is a Warriors of Chaos list. So we're really looking forward to this. We've been trying to plan it for a little while, and finally got everybody together and ready to play. So we had a great time. It was a long game, but it's awesome, and probably one of the best games of Warhammer I've ever played. So let's go ahead and get into showing you guys the board, and we'll get started. Okay, here's our board. Starting in the top left corner, that cavern setup there is a haunted mansion. Right in front of that is a ghost fence. And in front of that, the little white square is a charnel pit. The little house there is just a normal one floor building. We have a mysterious forest represented by those three trees there. Directly to the right of that, there's another mysterious forest there, and that tent is sort of behind it, and to the right is just another one-story normal building, and we have a normal hill down here in the bottom right. So kind of light on terrain. The forces of chaos actually got to choose their side, so we picked the more open side, figuring that the Empire at 3,500 points was going to have a little bit harder time fitting into that open area, so he packed himself very tight. But it was a good battlefield, should have enough room for us to all run around and throw down mighty. So let's go ahead and introduce each side that it's fighting. Okay, going from left to right, the Empire starts off in the back there with 7 members of the Knightly Order with full command. In front of them is a unit of 5 Outriders, and to the right there is the first of what will be 2 Great Cannons. And then up front we have a unit of 40 Halberdiers in horde formation with full command. In that unit is a warrior priest with the sword of battle and the gambler's armor, as well as a battle wizard with the channeling staff, seed of rebirth, and is a level 2 lore of life mage. That unit has 2 detachments. The detachment on the left is 11 spearmen, and the detachment on the right is 6 archers. Directly behind that, we have a unit of 27 great swords with an archer detachment, 7-man strong to the left of that. That unit also has his BSB, the captain of the Empire, with the armor of meteoric iron, and another warrior priest with the warrior bane sword and a talisman of preservation. Behind that archer detachment is his wizard lord, level 4 lore of metal, with a dispel scroll and a talisman of endurance. To the right of it is a Hellblaster volley gun and the steam tank. Then he has a unit of 4 Demigryph Knights with full command. They're bearing the standard of discipline. Right behind that, we have his general, an Archlector on the War Altar of Sigmar, who has the Horn of Sigismund and the Biting Blade. Then the little halfling hotpot there on the other side of the building is actually his second great cannon. He's just sticking that in there. Next to that is a unit of 10 Inner Circle Knights with full command and the Banner of Swiftness. And that last unit down in front is another unit of 6 Outriders. Looking at this, we've got a lot of tough nuts to crack. A lot of high armor class. Definitely worried about the steam tank and the Demigryph Knights. They're going to be hard. But we've got Forces of Chaos have a strong army, so we went into this with high hopes. So we'll go ahead and get into what we brought to the table. Okay, so bottom left, I have a Seeker Chariot of Slaanesh. Just to the right of that is Vargath the Flesh Peeler, my Demon Prince of Slaanesh, who is a level 4 Lore of Slaanesh caster, and had a single lesser gift which I dropped down for the Sword of Swift Striking, which gives him always strikes first. Directly ahead of them on that charnel pit is a unit of 3 Nurglings that scouted there. To the right of the building is 5 Seekers of Slaanesh with full command. And then directly under that, the black models are 5 Chaos Hounds that have been upgraded to have poison attacks. Then we have a unit of 20 Chaos Marauders with full command, a Chaos War Shrine, and a unit of 23 Chaos Warriors with full command. In that unit is an Exalted Hero, Ulvar the Blood Drinker, which is his BSB, and a second Exalted Hero, Anya Snowmane, who is bearing the Obsidian Lodestone and Scaled Skin. Oh, and the BSB has the Banner of Rage, so those guys are never going to lose their frenzy. Right next to that, I have a unit of 21 Demonettes of Slaanesh with full command, and Briah, the Bearer of the Sign, who is my BSB. She had 2 lesser gifts. The +2 ward save on the first wound suffered, and because I'm an idiot, I took the role of the always strikes first, totally not thinking at the time that I had given her the greater locus of swiftness, so she already had that. So that was kind of a wasted lesser gift. And right in front of them, I have a unit of 6 Chaos Furies that are mark of Slaanesh as well. And on our right flank, we have a unit of 10 Pink Horrors of Tzeentch with the Standard of Discipline. And I have a Herald of Tzeentch in there, Tariel the Warped, a level 2 Metal Lore caster, and she had 1 greater gift, which I defaulted for the Ogre Blade for +2 strength. And then to the right of that is a unit of 3 Skull Crushers of Khorne, and the Warrior's General, who was a Chaos Lord, Angvar the Skull Taker. He has the Sword of Swift Slaying and Soul Feeder. Okay, so the Empire got first turn. So he started here, moving up his Outriders up to the fence. He wasn't able to Vanguard them up because we rolled off for Vanguard movement, and my Seekers went first, so they're stopping him from really getting much further than there, since he can't be within 12 inches of either them or my scouting Nurglings that are in the charnel pit. So that kind of blocked his Knights up. So he didn't really want to overcommit at this point, so he just moved everything up there, up to the fence. And then he turned his Spearman detachment from the Great Swords to the side a little bit, just so he could keep an eye on what was coming on this end. And in the middle, he pretty much stayed tight-packed. He moved up the Archer detachment just a hair, to give a little bit of a line of sight with the Hellblaster through the middle in case we got cheeky and decided to rush him. The only other thing he really did was he moved his Wizard Lord from behind the second Archer detachment next to the Great Swords over to next to the Steam Tank. Again, I think he was wanting to kind of get good range for the metal spells and not let us get to him. I think he also might have slightly changed the facing of the Demigryphs, but pretty much from what he was looking at, he knew we were going to have to come to him. He had us outranged, so he was just going to wait and not overcommit until he saw how we were going to approach. And over on his right flank, again, not much movement. He just changed the facing of his Inner Circle Knights there to look out on the Skull Crushers, because he knows they're going to try and sweep in through that side. So he's not giving us any easy first turn charges, and is pretty much just playing cautious, which, being that he's facing 2 generals on the other side of the table, I can't really fault him for. And Empire Magic phase starts with Dwellers Below from his 2nd level life mage that was cast with irresistible force on the Chaos Warriors. Took out 5 of them, but to our benefit, the miscast resulted in him losing both of his wizard levels on that caster and ending his magic phase pretty much. So, big hit from Dwellers Below up front, but at least we don't have to worry about it anymore. And for shooting, I get lucky and only lose a single pink horror to the cannon on the right flank, which was good because the only thing he actually hit, he landed the cannonball flat on the head of my character, but I succeeded. Look out, sir. So, 1 pink horror, I'll take that as opposed to losing my mage right up front. And on the other flank, I don't remember whether it was the Outriders or that little archer detachment, but I lost one of the Seekers to shooting on that side as well, which I'm okay with. Frankly, of everything on our side of the army, that's probably the thing I want him shooting at the most. So, no real harm there. Okay, so we move into Chaos turn 1. And I really just inch up the Nurglings to the other side of the charnel pit. I don't have any real plans for them. I would love for them to tie up one of those 2 units. So at this point, I'm just kind of getting up there and seeing if he'll take the bait. Um, oh, and I guess I should have flipped the last picture in this one, but I did get a charge in against the Spearman detachment with the Seekers. I did that thinking that they're fast cavalry and could reform wide as they went, but when we check the rules on it, it's unless they charge. So I'm still going in kind of a dart formation, which is fine. I figure if nothing else, it might take a little longer, but I'm pretty confident that the Seekers can handle a little detachment of human spearmen with little trouble. And so here I moved up the chariot a little bit, hoping to get an open lane into something soon. But what I really did that's important here is Vargath, my demon prince, rushes up the side. While I've got his knights packed in there, he doesn't really have any good cannon shots there since he can't see the ground to bounce the cannon off me or off of to hit me. So I was kind of hoping to stay here and then once those knights move, get into the back of his line and start causing all sorts of mischief, hoping to destroy as many of his war machines as I could get to, or just get back there and start causing some crazy Slanesh magic in his backfield, hoping to just destabilize his block before the warriors came in. And in our center, we had everything move up. Because the Slanesh demonettes are faster, I had them back a little bit, so when we finish our move, we are one solid line of death waiting for the Empire. You can also see in the top left corner, I moved up my Chaos Furies just to the other side of the forest. We didn't know what it was yet, so I was figuring if he wanted to run some knights into him or something, he was going to find out what that forest might be before I had to. And it still leaves me a good area for them to fly forward and chaff something up once I kind of see how things are going to unravel. At this point, we're both sides are kind of Mexican standoff, not really wanting to be the first one to overcommit. Because we figured as soon as that happened, one mistake was just going to set off a powder keg of 3,500 points of beatdown. And here's just another shot of the Chaos Furies and where they were positioned in relation to his units up there. Now, I left my pink horrors up at the top of the hill because he's already shown that he wants to shoot at them with the cannon, and I figure leaving him up there actually gives him a line of sight to that area. And I figured I would at least have them sort of waving a big flag to get his attention so that he didn't focus on the Skull Crushers coming at him, because I know, being monstrous Kev, the Skull Crushers do not like cannon fire, and we were far enough away where they were going to have to move up for a while before they were going to get into combat with anything. So I figured that would be a good distraction. And then, of course, you see the Skull Crushers do move up so that they're setting themselves up for a charge next turn. Um, I think it puts both. It'd be a really long charge for the Inner Circle Knights, but he could go at those Outriders without much trouble there. So I don't have a picture of this, but on Demon Turn 1, Tariel the Warp casts Plague of Rust on the Demigryph Knights to lower their armor save, and I cast it with Irresistible Force, so it went off, and I rolled an 11 for the miscast, so I ended up losing both of her wizard levels. So in turn 1, both Empire and the Forces of Chaos lost a level 2 mage to that particular miscast. So that being the end, we went straight to combat, and I was rolling like garbage. The Seekers ended up killing, I think, 2 of the Spearmen. They killed 2 of the Seekers, despite my 5-up ward save that I was supposed to have, and didn't roll. So we ended up I won combat by 1, but they stuck because the general and the BSB are right there. So that's going to go on for a little while, which it's blocking things up, so that's not too bad right now. So, Empire Turn 2. The Empire player's intent was for the Outriders to charge the Chaos Hounds, which are just below where you can see in this picture, and that would leave room for the Knights to charge into the Nurglings and get over that way towards my Demon Prince and some of the other stuff over there. But the Outriders failed their charge and, in fact, only went up like 3 inches. So there was really no way that the Knights were going to be able to wheel and not clip the end of them with the way they were set up. So that sticks him back there for a turn, which I think we're super happy with. And then you can see the other little archer detachment moves up a little bit. I'm not sure whether he wanted to get him into a fight or at least get a good lineup for some shooting, but he's still blocked in by that fight with my Seekers and the Spearmen there. And in the middle, we see a little bit more aggressive move forward by the Empire. I think he realized at this point we weren't going to totally commit without something from him. So you see everything move forward. He actually is moving that archer detachment pretty well forward as chump blockers to protect his flank there. So I thought that was pretty smart because it was pretty obvious I was sending my Demonates in to get some flank action there. Now, you do also see the steam tank finally moved, and I didn't mention this last turn, but he tried to put 3 steam points in it last turn and misfired, and it lost all 3 points, so it just sat there. This time he put 3 in and didn't misfire, got to move, but just rolled, I think he rolled a 5 on 3d6, so he's there right next to that building, which is good for us, because the longer it takes that steam tank to do anything, the better off the Forces of Chaos are, I think. And on the right, all we get is the Outriders repositioning themselves so they can shoot the Skull Crushers. He knows he's fast calves, so I think he's trying to provoke the Frenzy Charge from the Skull Crushers of Khorne, which would pull them right into eating flank from the Inner Circle Knights there. So it's pretty smart. And it moves the unit out of the way so that cannon can hit something other than my pink horrors on the top of the hill. So, all in all, cautious but effective, I think. So, magic was a wash. We managed to stop what he was trying to cast. So, we moved straight on to shooting. And he manages to take out 2 more of the pink horrors with that cannon. Yeah, we could use all the manpower we could get, but, if he's gonna waste cannon shots on pink horrors, I think they're earning their points already, even if they don't end up killing anything. And surprisingly, the Outriders let loose on the Skull Crushers and actually managed to get a wound through. So, he ended up doing their multi-shot, so they were needing like 6s to hit against a 2-up or maybe 3-up armor save. So we weren't expecting much, but it's a relatively small unit. If he can whittle it down before he gets them into contact with the Knights, I think he's definitely going to have a stronger position, particularly with that steam tank hopefully eventually going to show up. And in close combat, neither the spearmen nor the seekers managed to inflict any wounds. So I won by my banner, but he wasn't going anywhere. And here my photo's a little out of order anyway, but this is where my Demon Prince moved up at start of Demon or Chaos turn 2. Managed to fly right behind those knights and get in there. And then this photo actually makes what you saw in the last one make a little more sense. My partner charges the Chaos Hounds into the Outriders, and he chose to flee. So he manages to sort of thread the needle right through there, so he's not panicking anybody else. But that does become a failed charge. But in the Empire's benefit, that does open up those knights to get into something. I think me and the other Chaos player were just hoping that they would not rally and keep running off the board, be one less unit for us to deal with. And here you see the meat of our charges. The Marauders and the Warriors of Chaos both charge into the Halberdier unit. We do find out that that forest is just a normal forest, so no big deal. And you'll notice that the Demonettes are not joining them. Because he had that blocker there was no way I'd be able to charge anything but those 5 archers there. And the way I kind of thought is the way I'd be redirecting, I'd hit there, and that would put me taking the demigryphs there in the flank. Pretty much knew that the Demonettes would not be able to handle that, so I figured if he was going to leave them there, that would buy us a turn. Hopefully the Warriors would be able to just chew through that first unit, then keep going, and then once that happened, I could come up, blow through the archers, and then I would actually be in the flank of the demigryphs, which looked a little better to me. And here you see the Skull Crushers did charge the Outriders. Surprisingly, he chose to stay. I think, well, I'm not entirely sure what he was thinking there. But once we found that he stayed and that completed, during normal movement, I moved up my Chaos Furies to block the Knights with the thinking that they charge into the Chaos Furies, obliterate them, and essentially, if they overran, they would be right in the way of the Skull Crushers who are going to obliterate the Outriders. Only thing I didn't take into account here, and it did end up biting us in the ass, I forgot about Frenzy having to overrun. So ultimately it ends up being that I'm redirecting those knights in the absolutely worst possible direction I could have chosen to overrun them. But you live, you learn. So I rolled a 4 for the Winds of Magic on this phase, which not only means that the Empire was able to stop anything I tried to throw, but that all of my demons had their ward save go down to 6. 6 up instead of 5 up. Now, when we go right into close combat, this causes a problem almost immediately because it allows the Spearman unit to kill the last remaining Seekers without taking any further wounds. And this causes the Chaos Warhounds to panic and flee. Then on the other side of the board, as predicted, the Skull Crushers pretty much demolished the Outriders and then overran. It was at this point that I realized exactly how bad the redirect is going to be. Because it's going to send... The figure on the far right of the Skull Crushers is actually the Warriors of Chaos General. So what's going to happen next turn is those Knights are going to blow through my Furies, who now don't even have a decent ward save to protect them, and throw down right into the Warriors of Chaos General. So that's going to hurt. And it's really that one little start of a tactical error that's going to start turning things a little bit more towards the Empire for a little while. And the only real way I have to describe the battle in the center is insane amounts of violence. Unfortunately, the Warriors of Chaos characters didn't do so well. The one exalted hero uh, challenged, and the now zero level wizard accepted, so it got chopped to pieces with a little bit of overrun. The BSB, I think, did one additional wound, so that was kind of lackluster. The Warriors and the Marauders did a bunch. I mean, you can see like a rank and a half is gone from the back of the Halberdiers, but then the Halberdiers just unleashed the fury. A lot of Marauders died, and a couple of Chaos Warriors did too. So it ended up being just too many of the forces of Chaos died to really make it. I think we only ended up winning this by one, maybe two, but he's got his general on the War Altar, so he's like leadership 10, rerollable, with a captain of the Or no, that unit doesn't have the captain of the Empire, but it's still, I mean, he wasn't going anywhere. And, I mean, he stopped our advance cold, and it really was not what we needed at this point. So, Empire turn 3 starts with the Knightly Order here charging into the Nurglings, which I was nervous about. I was thinking they're not really going to hold them up, maybe a turn, but if they hit and kill and overrun, I wasn't sure whether they were going to clip the Chaos Warhounds and destroy them because they're still fleeing, or hit that chariot. And the Exalted Seeker Chariot, it's great and it's fast, but it's only 4 wounds at toughness 4. Those knights would chew it apart. So the problem is if those Nurglings fall, so does pretty much our whole left flank, because that's all we've got over here. And if he can sweep the board on this side and then turn those knights around and come in behind the Marauders in that central fight, we're in a bad set of situations. And here you see he charges the spearman, the now demon-killing spearman, into the Marauders, manages to clip them, just to add a few extra attacks to the board, hoping that'll be enough so that he doesn't lose combat next time. And in the center, because he was able to hold us up, that unit of 5 archers that was there actually charges the front of my demonettes, which leaves a whole area open for the demigryphs to charge into the flank of the warriors, as you see there. At this point, both of my partner and I looked at each other and just basically went, "We are boned," because he just doesn't have the bodies, we think, at this point to hold out. We pretty much are worried that the game's about to end right here in this next round of combat. And you see here that the steam tank finally remembers it's part of this combat and slams into the front of the Skull Crushers. Definitely not good, particularly considering what the next picture shows that the Knights did see exactly what I saw and slammed into the front of the Chaos Furies. So my opponent's probably going to deal with that fight first so he can get the Knights in during the steam tank fight. So it looks like at this point both our center and our right flank are collapsing. But we're ready to stick it out and see what happens. And here's just a shot showing the 6 archers that ran into the front of my brick of demonettes. And realizing how crucial this next round of combat is going to be, the Archlector on the War Altar comes up so that he's going to be a 6-inch bubble on pretty much everything except for the little detachment of spearmen at the far end, so he can start throwing down battle prayers and buffing things. We're both thinking this magic phase is going to be absolutely crucial. So for magic, we managed to stop him from getting off any spell except for the battle prayer that gives a 5-up ward save in combat. So it's not ideal, but it's the best we could work. So then shooting, The Outriders, which had rallied at the start of the turn, I forgot to mention that, turns around and lets loose into my Demon Prince, and they ended up hitting the Flesh Peeler for one. Then the Hellblaster, or the cannon, totally misses him, which I was super happy with. He totally overshot. And then the Hellblaster volley gun was also just within range, so he turns around, opens fire, ends up rolling a 2, a misfire, and a 4. So it was like 3 shots, but he still ended up hitting and wounding with 1. So my Demon Prince is at half life at this point, and I'm really worried because that's a lot of points, and he's my general, so I'll have the bonus 100 points there. So, and now we go into close combat, and as predicted, the Knights just absolutely butcher the Chaos Furies, which didn't even get a wound off in response, and slam clip the corner of the general there, so they have to realign as per a new charge, and ends up bringing in most of that unit right upside their head, and so they'll join with the fight with the steam tank that's about to start. And the Chaos Lord challenges the champion of the Knights, ends up refusing it and going to the back so that he can focus the whole Knights unit into the side of the general. At the same time, the steam tank got just a stupid, ridiculous number of grind attacks or impact hits from having moved up. So between the two, the steam tank killed the unit, the Knights killed the general, and they just wiped them out where they stood. Actually, they might have overrun, but it doesn't matter. The Knights are going to end up overrunning into the forest, whether they had to pursue or not, I don't quite remember. But needless to say, that the general was killed, and the right flank is in the process of collapse. And just when we thought everything was done, a Warhammer miracle occurred for the Forces of Chaos. We only lost about 4 Chaos Warriors in the center there, and did almost a dozen wounds. So the leadership checks were hard. The detachment of spearmen there broke and ran off in one direction. The demigryphs broke and ran off in the other, and they lost their standard, which was awesome because we didn't do any wounds to them. So the standard just died from having broken. But the Halberdier unit rolled insane bravery, so it stuck around. But at this point, we were considering that our gooses were cooked, and this whole unit was gonna be, or these 2 units were going to be wiped out during this fight. So we've still got some fight left in us, and it's time for Chaos to rally and finally take it to these humans. And here, as expected, you can see that the Demonettes ended up killing those 6 archers in Always Strikes First, so that was not a problem. The nice thing is I was figuring this would give me a chance to run and get the now fleeing demigryphs on the start of our next turn, so I was actually pretty happy things were looking up for Chaos. Okay, so start of Demon turn changed our tactics a little bit. My partner said he wanted to use the War Altar to go into the demigryphs. So I let him do that, and when they fled, he redirected to the Knights, slammed into the front of there. Figuring that he would need the help, I brought my pretty much now useless Pink Horror unit and the non-mage with the Ogre Blade into the side there, figuring that maybe we could break them on just static combat res, or do a few wounds and get in there. And then I noticed that with the demigryphs gone, his general on the War Altar was just right out there in the open. And I figured I have enough attacks in the Demonette unit that I can just bury him in attacks. Yeah, he's got armor and ward and this and that, but if I just throw enough attacks at him, stuff's going to stick, and I could take him down. So I charged him, and he ended up fleeing, and you can see the back wheels of the War Altar at the very top corner of the picture there. And I think this is just an overview of sort of what the whole combat looks like at this point. I'm not entirely sure why I took this. Maybe to show better where the War Altar had fled. And I decided I needed to get the Demon Prince into combat to protect him from being shot, so I charged at the Outriders, and to my surprise, he stuck. Or he didn't flee, rather. So, I'm pretty sure I'm going to tear them apart, and that'll end up landing me right into the flank of that Greatsword unit, which I'm kind of worried about, as there's nobody else there to help me at this point. So I'll be landing into the flank of the Greatswords with only 2 wounds left on the Flesh Peeler there. And you can see by the pointing finger here that the Chaos Hounds rallied and are now pointing the other way. I just couldn't see which end was heads or tails, with them being just prime black. I also notice now that I didn't take a picture of this combat last turn, but when the Knights charged into the Nurglings, they did a bunch of damage, and I ended up losing combat, but I rolled double ones on the leadership check for demonic instability, so they all grew back, and I only ended up taking one further wound from the demonic crumble. So he ended up slamming into me with a full rank of knights with lances and did a single wound. So I was feeling good. The Nurglings were holding, and now we were, with the Chaos Hounds coming back and my chariot kind of threading that needle there, we were going to be long gone by the time that the knights finally chew through the Nurglings. At least that was the intent. And so on Magic, I 5 dice Phantasmagoria in the big 24-inch bubble there. And I actually get it without miscasting, and my total was like 30. So the Empire couldn't stop it. So I was feeling strong. We had a bubble of where he was going to be taking 3d6 leadership checks, and that included his general, who was still fleeing and something like 3 inches from the edge of the board. We were going to just crush this halberdier unit, and pretty much everything except for the very far side, like those knights that are all the way on the right there, are being affected by it. So I was thinking, yes, finally things are turning. Slaanesh is with us. Khorne is with us. As strange as that combination may be, we were ready to rock, and Phantasmagoria just sealed it in our minds. Time to just get into combat and tear it up. And as you can see, combat starts with Vorgath the Flesh Peeler blowing through the Outriders and slamming right into the side of those great swords. So definitely a strong start, and I was just ready to tear up some humans. And to keep things moving, the Warriors of Chaos blow through some more of the halberdiers, break them, and overrun. They do end up reaching the great swords, which isn't shown in this picture just because I snapped it while everybody was still moving all of the dead out of the way. But we ended up slamming right in there, and things are looking good for the forces of Chaos. And moving on to Empire turn 5, despite our best efforts, the general rallied and is back there ready to do his thing. And the Battle Wizard has just kind of turned himself a little to see what's going on there on that right flank. And the Spearmen finally rally and turn around to face the ass end of the Marauders to come help out the Greatswords. And I guess I missed a picture of it earlier, but last turn the Pink Horrors and the War Altar ended up breaking the Knights and running them down because he rolled next to nothing on the flee roll. So, of course, the Demigryphs rallied, and the Steam Tank generated 3 points and slammed into the side of the Pink Horrors. And so to start close combat, magic and shooting were a wash. Nothing really went on. I think he might have gotten up the 5-up ward save on the Great Swords again, but and we see that the Knights over here on this flank finally take out one of the Nurgling bases, but my Nurglings are standing in there. They're not doing crap. They are not inflicting a single wound, matter of fact. But he's not actually doing enough to break them in any considerable fashion either. So. And here we see that the Steam Tank has ground the Pink Horrors into a fine pink paste to spread over the grass. And here is just a look at the board before we go right into the middle of that big conflict there. The Demigriffs and the Steam Tank are coming up on that flank, so we know we've got to break this horde in the center before they can come and help out, or it's going to be all over. So it's a very tight game. The kind of Warhammer that you just love. It could go either way at a moment's notice, and we're just having a blast. So, to protect my Demon Prince, the Flesh Peeler declares a challenge, and the Warrior Priest answers. And I'm always strikes first, 5 attacks. I think I've got this. I'm hitting him on 3s, he's hitting me on 5s. He's got hatred, but whatever. And then I proceed to only do a single wound to the Warrior Priest. And what's worse, he turns around and does a wound to me, which brings me up to 3 wounds, and he has the Warrior Bane sword, so now I've lost an attack off of Vargoth, the Flesh Peelers, for the rest of the game. And, in fact, I don't actually end up killing him till Thunder Stomp at the end, so we do get rid of the Battle Priest, but not until Hatred is going to run its full gamut on the whole fight. And the characters from the Warriors of Chaos unit there didn't do much either. I think altogether we killed 4 guys, and between the hold the line from the BSB and his general being right there, he was going to stick. Okay, so bottom of 5 starts with my chariot slamming into the back of the Spearman detachment, and the Chaos Hounds slamming into the front of the Archers. Hoping we can go ahead and blow through those and come help the fight, or at least prevent the Spearmen from getting involved in the fight and tipping the balance anymore. And the War Altar goes to charge the Wizard Lord, and again, the Empire player chooses to let him stand. Again, not really sure what he wanted there. I think he just didn't want to risk having him flee and run off the board. I think he realizes he's only got to live through a little bit more combat, and he'll save those points. So that's that. And here we see that Bria, the bearer of the sign, leads her demonette colleagues into a suicidal charge against the Steam Tank. Don't get me wrong, I knew it was suicidal. It was not going to kill the Steam Tank, and I knew my flank was being opened up to the Griffins. At this point, I knew we didn't have much to go. I was just hoping that their ward save could make them last long enough to keep the Steam Tank and the Demigriffs out of the fight. We knew pretty much if a win was going to be had, it's going to be had in the center battle, and the more we can keep that in our favor, the better. And so during Magic, my Demon Prince finally manages to get off Cacophonic Choir in the big aura. I ended up doing wounds pretty much to everything in the area. Nothing broke, at least through the Magic. The hope was just, do as many wounds as we possibly could, thin things down, and hopefully the combat will take care of itself. So moving on into close combat, the Seeker Chariot ended up killing the Spearman to a man, and I didn't want to overrun because there's nothing else to hit there. Or maybe I did. I think I might have overrun into the Archers. I'll have to check the next picture. But the dogs basically whiffed and had one of them die for their troubles, but they hold there. And not only do my Demonettes hold against the Steam Tank, which on our turn shouldn't have been terribly hard to do since it doesn't get to do damage, but I actually inflicted a single wound on it. Totally against math, but it did take a wound, so I claimed the moral victory at this point for the Demonettes of Slaanesh, being that there's not really a whole lot else they can claim here. And in the center, boy, did we underestimate us some greatswords. They did just some crazy amount of damage. I ended up getting into a challenge with their unit champion, and my Demon Prince killed him, but I ended up popping from the fact that we lost combat and I'm demonically unstable, so my Demon Prince dies there. Luckily, the Marauders hold because the characters died, like uh, the Warriors of Chaos characters died, and they broke, so the BSB died. The only thing that was left was the unit's musician, which you can see there is still standing. Actually, does escape because the Marauders prevent the Great Swords from chasing after him. And top of Empire 6, the Demigryphs slam into the side of the Demonettes pretty much as expected. And so in Magic, all he got off was the Battle Prayer that let him reroll to wounds. Um, so we were kind of in trouble there. So we move into close combat. Here, I was actually pretty happy. This is after Demonic Instability, but he just whipped my tail. Ended up being down to 4 Demonettes and Bria, the Keeper of the Sign there. So definitely not sure whether that plan of having them stick is going to turn out to work. And in the center, the Great Swords just beat the Marauders like redheaded stepchildren and break them. But nobody rolled well for the pursuit. The Marauders went like 4 inches. The Great Swords only went 3. So what you do actually see is 3 members of the Marauders and 1 of the warriors running away. Since we're just playing by the book Warhammer, that means the points for both of those units are saved, minus of course the banners and the characters that were in them. But since this is the last Empire turn, we actually save all of those points. And again, much to my amusement, those knights cannot break away from the Nurglings. They're going to hold them up for the rest of the game. And you do see the fight there between the chariot, the dogs, and the archers going badly because neither me nor my partner can roll for crap, and we do not inflict but a single wound on the archer unit, and they stick. And in addition to the cacophonic choir last turn, the other thing that happened was the War Altar got to use its spell on the champion of the Warriors of Chaos and turned him into a Demon Prince. But this is the first time he's gotten to do anything, so he charged into the Demigryphs there to kind of help keep my Demonettes together. Still not a great matchup, but we'll see where it goes. I mean, it's bottom of 6. It's not like we're going to lose a whole lot trying to score some more points here. And after the last round of combat, a full base of Nurglings is left, having held up the entire knight unit there the whole game without having inflicted a single wound on them. So you know what? They're my MVP. No telling how much damage those knights could have done if they had been able to run around free and mess up our side there, because we were very weak on that flank, and those Nurglings held that entire flank by themselves. Go Nurgle. And so you can see in the last fight that matters, the Demon Prince did come in and lay some smackdown on some Demigryphs, but wasn't enough to break them. And my BSB and the Demonettes survived because the Demon Prince there was causing some damage, but the Demigryphs just kind of whiffed those last attacks and weren't able to kill anybody. So we saved the points for the Demonettes as well as my BSB. So I was pretty happy about that. And so the game ends after 6 turns, and this is what the whole board looks like. And really, we were it was awesome. We were laughing, having a great time. And when we got to this point, we had no idea who won. We had to total up the points. It was really too close to call. And so once all the points were totaled up, it was a victory for the Empire. They have held off the forces of chaos for one more day. They ended up Empire player ended up winning by about 400 points, so it was very close. Ended up being really, I mean, he got my general, got the Warriors of Chaos General, and the Warriors of Chaos BSB. So really, those three things by themselves really made it. But I tell you, this was easily the most fun I have ever had playing this game. The game took us about 5 hours all told, but it was a blast. It was one of those games that was just perfect because it started out. It looked like we were coming on real strong. The Empire player was worried. I mean, he was just taking some hits early on, lost a cannon early on, and losing his life mage. He couldn't heal up any of his characters, so he was getting a little discouraged. And then things kind of turned around, and he came on strong. And I mean, it was just back and forth, back and forth. And I think it came down to just a couple of little tactical errors. I think me choosing to redirect the way I did with the Chaos Furies into the Knights ended up hurting us real bad early on. That let the Warriors of Chaos General get killed. That was rough. And then we just had a couple of bad rounds of combat where he was able to hold us up for one round longer than we needed to. The Warriors of Chaos work real good at lightning strikes, and if you can hold them up and slow them down, it makes it a lot rougher. And I mean, we didn't have strong magic phases, and he managed to intelligently dispel, so he was taking really only what he wanted to, pretty much up until that last cacophonic choir and the Phantasmagoria, but that's like turn 4 or 5. We just didn't have the magical punch to make those earlier rounds matter more. My opinion, the MVP of the demons was definitely the Nurglings. Like I said, they held up that entire flank on their own. The Empire player said his MVP was definitely the Great Swords. I mean, they just rocked us when we finally got into them. And the Warriors, the Chaos player, his MVP was his Warriors. Early on, they came in, they kicked butt. They needed to do what they did. They formed a perfect anchor for the center of our line. It just, I mean, we got bowled over, is how it ended up being. And that the other flank collapsing just didn't do us any favors. But it was awesome. I would love to do it again. It was so much fun. It was one of those things that we thought was very cool, very flavorful. The Empire sort of last stand against the howling hordes of chaos, and it was awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I know this is a little longer than my normal battle reports, but this one was worth it. It was easily the best game I've played, and I hope you guys enjoy the battle report just as much. So if you like what you've seen, please subscribe, like. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't, because I'm going to keep doing this. I'm having a lot of fun playing the game, and a lot of fun reliving it through these battle reports. So it's really just a new fun way to explore the hobby for me, and I want to keep it going. So I appreciate you guys. I'm getting a few subscribers now. I think we're up to 15. Little start, but you know what? I think it's awesome. You guys dig what I'm doing, and I hope I'm being entertaining or maybe even informative. If you really want to try and learn from my tactics, I kind of feel sorry for you, but we're all having a good time here. And again, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.